The secret menu that made reservations impossible. It was never advertised. It was never written down. And somehow, everyone wanted it. This story matters now because exclusivity has become a marketing strategy instead of a consequence. But there was a time when secrecy emerged naturally, shaped by trust rather than tactics. To understand how a hidden menu turned a restaurant into an obsession, we need to return to a place where access was earned quietly. Because today, the same hunger for what feels unavailable still drives desire. The menu did not begin as a concept. It began as a gesture, a dish offered off-script to a regular, an improvisation based on mood, season, and familiarity. Nothing repeatable, nothing promised. At first, it stayed personal, a nod between chef and guest, a quiet surprise at the table. No announcement, no explanation. The experience felt intimate, almost private, but people noticed. Plates appeared that others were not receiving. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Curiosity filled the room. What was that dish? Why didn't everyone get it? Staff never explained. The rule was simple. If you asked, you did not receive it. The menu existed only for those who trusted the process enough not to seek control. Regulars returned more often. Not knowing what they would receive became the appeal. The absence of choice created anticipation. Each visit felt unrepeatable. Words spread carefully, not through promotion, but through implication. The secret menu was never described, only hinted at. That mystery amplified its power. Soon demand surged. Reservations vanished months ahead. Guests arrived hoping to be noticed, hoping to qualify, hoping to unlock something undefined. But the secret menu was never about reward. It was about relationship. And that philosophy would soon be tested. As demand intensified, the atmosphere inside the restaurant shifted. What was once relaxed became charged with anticipation. Guests arrived alert, watching other tables, searching for signals. The secret menu had become a silent competition. The kitchen felt the pressure immediately. Improvisation thrives on trust, not expectation. But now, every off-menu dish risked comparison. Guests whispered. Photos circulated. The mystery began to solidify into myth. Staff faced an impossible task. Maintain discretion without appearing selective. Offer generosity without creating hierarchy. The line between intimacy and exclusion grew thinner every night. Some guests tried to force the moment. They hinted. They lingered. They praised loudly. Others attempted familiarity without history. The secret menu resisted all of it. The more it was chased, the more it retreated. Behind the scenes, the chef questioned the practice. What began as connection now risked becoming currency. Secrecy was losing its innocence. When mystery becomes expectation, it hardens. Still, the menu continued, not because it was demanded, but because it still felt meaningful. The chef offered dishes only when the moment felt right. Only when attention was present, only when trust existed. However, disappointment surfaced. Guests left unsatisfied, not by the food, but by absence. Reviews hinted at unfairness. Online speculation filled the gaps left by silence. The restaurant faced a choice. Reveal the menu and regain control, or protect the secret and risk misunderstanding. Transparency promised relief. Mystery promised integrity. They chose to protect it. Because once a secret is explained, it stops being a relationship, and the tension that followed would push the idea to its breaking point. The breaking point arrived when the secret began arriving before the guest. Expectations entered the room first. Curiosity turned into entitlement. The atmosphere tightened. The chef felt it immediately. Improvisation lost its freedom when watched too closely. Dishes that once emerged naturally now carried weight. Every off-menu plate risked being judged against an imagined standard. Regulars noticed the shift. Some asked the chef to stop. Others suggested formalizing the idea. The intimacy that made the menu special was eroding under attention. Then came the hardest service. A night filled with guests who wanted something they could not define. No matter what arrived, disappointment lingered. The secret had become a symbol instead of an experience. That night forced clarity. The chef realized the menu had stopped serving the relationship. It was now serving desire. And desire, when unmanaged, consumes what it touches. So a decision was made quietly. The secret menu would not disappear. It would retreat. Fewer moments, fewer dishes, offered only when silence returned to the room. The change confused many. Some regulars drifted away. Reservations remained impossible, but the tension softened. Those who stayed understood. The secret regained its meaning, not because it was rare, but because it was sincere again. And in that retreat, the restaurant discovered its most important truth. Mystery only works when it's protected from demand. The resolution unfolded gradually, without announcement. The secret menu became quieter, almost invisible again. It appeared when no one expected it, and disappeared before anyone could ask. Guests who received it rarely spoke about it afterward, not out of obligation, but respect. They sensed it was not meant to be shared widely. The experience felt personal, not collectible. The restaurant accepted a new reality. It could not control desire, but it could refuse to feed it endlessly. By limiting the secret, they preserved its spirit. Over time, the legend softened. Reservations remained difficult, but the obsession cooled. The dining room felt lighter. Curiosity returned to presence. The story left a lesson that extended far beyond food. Not everything valuable should be accessible. Not everything meaningful should be explained. Some experiences lose power when exposed to demand. In a culture driven by visibility, this restaurant chose restraint. It protected mystery, not for status, but for sincerity. And in doing so, it reminded us of something easily forgotten. The rarest experiences are not hidden. They are respected. The deeper lesson of the secret menu is about the conditions under which genuine improvisation can exist. Improvisation requires permission, and permission requires trust. The earliest iterations of the menu worked because the relationship between chef and regular contained something that could not be manufactured. A shared history that made spontaneity feel safe on both sides. The chef trusted that the regular would receive a surprise without resentment. The regular trusted that the surprise would be offered with genuine intention. That mutual trust was the actual medium through which the secret menu traveled. The food was incidental. The relationship was a substance. When demand began arriving without relationship, the conditions that made improvisation possible disappeared. The chef could not improvise for a stranger who expected surprise and would judge any deviation from an imagined standard. Improvisation in that context was no longer free. It was pressured, and pressure improvisation is not improvisation at all. It is performance shaped by anxiety. This is why the retreat the restaurant ultimately made was not a failure, but a recovery. By reducing the frequency of the secret menu, by reserving it only for moments when genuine trust was present, the team restored the conditions under which it had originally thrived. They accepted that a smaller, more honest version of the idea was more valuable than a larger, distorted one. That acceptance required the courage to disappoint expectations that had no legitimate claim on the experience in the first place. Subscribe to join the journey. The broader relevance of this story extends to any creative practice that operates through relationship rather than transaction. What the secret menu had at its best was the quality of a conversation between people who already knew each other. The chef knew what the regular could receive. The regular trusted that reception would be worth something. The exchange was shaped by accumulated understanding, not by the protocols of commerce. Most creative industries have largely abandoned that model in favor of scale. The assumption is that reaching more people is always better than serving fewer people more deeply. But the secret menu suggests a different possibility, that the value created in a single genuine exchange may be larger per interaction than the value distributed across 1,000 managed transactions, not because of exclusivity as status, but because of relationship as depth. The experience remembered most vividly is rarely the most impressive one. It is the one that felt personally addressed. What made reservations impossible, in the end, was not scarcity. It was sincerity. And sincerity, unlike scarcity, cannot be manufactured, released in limited quantities, or marketed as a feature. It can only be practiced, night by night, guest by guest, on the terms of the moment that actually exists. The